remember exactly what I need. I think I need a 5/8 deep well socket, some nut drivers or screwdrivers. I probably better turn my gas off first thing. Already did. A little bit warm. I think we can start. Although I think I better find me a glass bottle in case there's a little gas in here. Not a honey bottle. I keep a glass bottle on the shelf in case I need to put something that might melt plastic in it. I always worry about glass out here for dropping it and breaking it because I'm apt to break something. Shouldn't be too much in here. I've got the gas shut off. A little bit. There we go. Put that up there out of the way. So what do we talk about while I do this? How about the Forestry Forum? Seeing as this is kind of going to be the first official Forestry Forum video. I've got lots of videos, hundreds on my Forestry Forum channel, but they've been mostly of a personal nature. Some dealing with the Forestry Forum. But while I work on this, I thought maybe we would talk about, or I'd tell you how the Forestry Forum came to be. It's kind of a unique story. It's because my grandfather, my dad's dad, and back during the Depression used to make homemade ice cream. Now how would you get the Forestry Forum from homemade ice cream? Let me tell some of you that don't know what the Forestry Forum is. Forestry Forum is a internet forum that is over 20 years old now. I believe the day that I launched it was September 23rd of 2000. Almost 21 years ago. And in internet years, that's a long time. We've been around for a long time. Before YouTube, before, I don't know, probably before Google. I think that was back in the web crawler days. But we're still here. We still have a lot of people on the forum that post every day. We have new members every day, many new members every day. Let's take some nuts off. Wrong size. That figures. Let's try 5/8. I'm thinking it's 5/8. So, the Forestry Forum has over, I think we're closing in on 2 million posts on, I don't know how many topics, 80,000, 100,000 different topics, somewhere around there. You can go to the Forestry Forum, forestryforum.com, and down near the bottom of the index page there's some stats, and if you're logged in, it doesn't cost anything to register. You can log in, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to recruit Forestry Forum members. I'm trying to fix a tractor and let you know what's coming in the future on this channel. I'm hoping that what we're going to do is we're going to interview Forestry Forum members. Hopefully we can get some Forestry Forum members places and do some videos. We're going to be doing some cool stuff up in the eastern UP, I think, and hopefully we'll get some Forestry Forum members there to do some videos. Pig roast is coming up. We have a pig roast every year. Forestry Forum members are welcome to attend at our house in Harrison. The one year, I don't remember what year it was, but we kept some informal stats, and that year we had members from 21 different states, 4 different countries, 3 different countries, 3 different Canadian provinces, and the member that came from the furthest here to Harrison, Michigan, came from Australia. We had a member, I believe, from Florida that year. We had one from Maine. Vermont, Connecticut. In the west side, we had Washington. Just members from all over the place. Here comes my son. I think I hear some snorting. Or coughing. I don't know what he's doing out there. But he's probably coming to investigate what I'm doing. They're probably checking up on me because I had a COVID shot a few days ago and I've didn't take it well. Had a high temperature and actually sat on a couch for 2 days. We ain't never gonna get this tractor done. 5/8 half-inch drive. Let's try that. 5/8 half-inch drive. And then we'll start talking about Grandpa and ice cream. And oh, I gotta take that off. I'm getting ahead of myself. I got a screwdriver with me. Need a screwdriver. I got one. Alright. As I remember, we gotta take this off. It would be a lot easier if I take this hood off, but I don't want to drain the gas out of it. I don't want to muscle it around, and so I'm going to do it the hard way. And take the clamps off and just pry it out of there. So, back in the 1930s, my Grandpa Brokaw, who died before I was born, worked in a sugar factory in Mount Pleasant during the Depression. He had a job, from my understanding, and so he had access to sugar. They lived in Greendale on the Salt River Road, just on the Little Salt River, and so they had a river that froze in the winter, and they had an ice saw where they'd go cut ice. They had an ice house where they'd store ice. They had chickens for eggs, and they had cow for cream. And so they had the ability to do something that a lot of people back then couldn't do. They could make ice cream. And I've got pictures from way back when the family was making ice cream. And people would go to the Brokaws on the weekends sometimes for ice cream because it was something that they could get. They were poor. I mean, I'll try to stick some pictures in here. Put an ice cream picture in here. But so what happened was, fast forward, when I was probably, it was before the Forestry Forum. It was probably in the mid-90s. My Aunt Lena, who was my dad's oldest sister, gave him the ice saw that my grandpa used to cut ice out of to make ice cream. And that saw, I decided I was going to take it and paint have a picture painted on it of the old farm where my dad was born and raised. That's over there on the river in Greendale. And I priced it out, and for an old mill rat, it was making, I don't know at the time, probably $8 an hour or something like that. I couldn't afford the couple $300 it took to paint that saw, so let's see if I can muscle that out of there. Well, better idea is probably now to take the exhaust off, because I ain't going to get that off yet without the exhaust. And that's a different size. 1/2 inch, 9/16. I'll bet it's metric because that was a ordered part. Be right back. I'm back. I guess I get to edit that pause out. Or maybe not. I didn't find a metric wrench though. Yeah. 9/16 is too big. And I'm betting 13. I did find them 13, but it's going to be too small. So, let's try this metric wrench. Must be metric. It's made in, who knows. So where was I on the ice cream? Oh, I got the ice saw, and I was going to price the painting, or have a picture painted on it, and it was too much. I just couldn't afford it. So I told Tammy, at the time we had a little store in town, Ben Franklin. It was, I don't know, probably a lot like the dollar stores of now. And they had, I remember seeing in there, they had artist canvases and paints. So I asked Tammy, I said, hey, how about going up there and picking up a canvas and some paints? I think I'm going to paint that picture myself, and I want to practice. She kind of smiled at me. She knew I was artsy-fartsy, but I'd never had any art classes. I'd never painted, really. I've got a couple things that I did when I was young, just at home, just messing around, but had never really had any art. So, but she humored me. She knows that I try things all the time. So she went and got me a canvas, brought it home. It was late in the day, the store was closing up. I forgot to ask her to get me any brushes. I didn't have any brushes. So I wanted to play. So I think I found a popsicle stick, and I sat there and I chewed the end of it up and made some fibers on it. Got some Q-tips, toothpicks, and I had, the paints were acrylic, just cheap acrylic paints. And I set off to paint a painting. And it came out all right. Unbelievable, it came out all right. So fast forward from that, about a year later, I had painted 70 or 80 paintings. I had been asked to do a one-man show at the Healing Arts Gallery in Midland. I forget what the name of the hospital was at that time, but they had a big gallery in the basement, and they asked me to do a one-man show. I needed like 25 paintings, and I didn't have 25 paintings. So I set off, I took up the challenge, and I think I painted 25 paintings in a month. And took them down there and sold almost every one of them. I did some of the Northern Lights that really went over well, and I don't know where they're at, but I know there's some paintings as far away as England. So here I am, I'm doing paintings, quite successful at it for being a nobody and not having any real talent. Watching Bob Ross, love Bob Ross. But so my kids, they said, Dad, you need a website to advertise your paintings on. And this was like 90, I don't know, 7, 98. I said, what's a website? And we didn't have even a computer at that time. So the kids needed a computer. I think we got a Gateway computer, and at the time it had like 8 megabytes of RAM was the computer, and it was like $1,500. It was when, if you wanted to get on the internet, it was 28K modem. And we didn't know anything about it, but we jumped into it, and when the computer came into the house, to me it was like a glorified filing cabinet with a calculator attached to it. I wasn't scared of it. I figured if I broke it, I'd fix it or replace it. So learned how to write some programs. They showed me what a website was, so I got Notepad out and started doing some research. I think I got HTML for Dummies or something, and learned how to write some basic HTML, and I made me a website for my paintings. And never sold any online, but one day I had somebody call and ask me if I was the guy that had the website with the paintings on it. I thought, I'm going to sell a painting. Turned out he wasn't interested in the paintings, he was interested in the website. He liked the website and wanted to know if I could help him build a website. So that went from one thing to the next, and I'm building some websites. Then the day happened when I was at the sawmill. It was at lunchtime, and I don't know if we're going to get this tractor fixed in this video. But anyways, it's lunchtime, and was in the mill office, and I was just sitting there, kind of a fly on the wall, and a pickup tore into the mill, and guy comes in the office, and he was hot. He was mad. He wanted to talk to the boss. He had been told that one of the loggers that was logging his property was hauling logs that had not been paid for. And the boss at the time asked him, who are you and who's this logger? And turned out, I'm not going to say any names, but the logger at the time was beyond reproach as far as we was concerned. He had won the Michigan Association Timberman's Logger of the Year recently, or that year. We just knew him, and we knew it wasn't so. And as we're listening to him, we asked where he got his information from. And as it turned out, the information, he had been told this by another timber guy. Well, this guy that told him, we considered, again, I'm not going to say the name, he's dead now, but we considered him a timber pimp. That's what was our name for him. He would go out, that was the kind of guy that would cruise timber by the obituaries. If he found out that somebody had died, he was right there trying to talk to the widow or whatever to buy timber. Not a good guy. And like I said, I'm sitting in there, I'm a fly on the wall. I've got nothing but, an interest listening. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world does somebody know when you're having your timber cut, where do you turn? How do you know if that person that's cutting your timber is a decent guy? Beyond reproach. At that time, you really didn't know. And I went home with that on my mind, and got to our overpriced calculator with a slow internet, or computer with a slow internet connection. And at that time, there was no Google, but there was a website called WebCrawler. And I typed in on WebCrawler, Michigan timber buyer. Because that's what I was, if I was pretending that I had 40 acres and that I wanted to find a timber buyer using the internet. And I wanted to know what was out there, if there was something for people to find out. One thing came up. One thing. The timber pimp. He was already online. There wasn't any legitimate companies on there that I felt it was legitimate, but this guy was there, and somebody looking, that's who they was going to find. And I thought right then and there, somebody's got to do something. So, still in my mind, the next day I went into the mill, and I never paid any attention before, but laying there on the desk was a couple of pamphlets. One was how to choose a forester, and one was how to choose a logger. And they were put out by the organization that is now pretty much defunct. It might not be, but in my mind it seems to be the Michigan Forest Resource Alliance, MAFRA. And I'm looking at these, and on the back there's a phone number, and I thought, this is the kind of information people need to know. This is the kind of information people need to see. But why is it in a sawmill? I mean, it needs to be out there for people. So I at the time, let me see, this is probably 99, I don't know for sure. But I got a hold of the director, the phone number on there, and my idea was to just take this information and put it on a website. And then, so I called the director and I said, this is what I'd like to do. They didn't have a website. Nobody had a website back then. And the director was kind of excited, and she said, yeah, go ahead, you can use the information. That's what I was looking for, was permission to use the information. Well, I put it together and put something out there, and my idea was to call it the Timber Buyers Network. And what we would do is try to, and I got a hold of the Michigan Association Timbermen's. I built a website for them early on. I built a website for MAFRA early on. But what we was to try to put a database out there where people could go look with names and businesses that we knew were okay. or had a good reputation, and to send them to information to where they could make an educated decision. So here we are, we've got a website called the Timber Buyers Network, and actually Timberman's invited me to some logging congress and to some convention meetings, and I did some seminars back then for Timberman's members at their convention, different things on how to get on the internet. Here I am, an old mill rat that never had a computer, and I'm teaching a bunch of other loggers and mill rats back in the late 90s how to get online and do different things like that. Wow. Anyways, where was I? I'm still not working on this tractor, am I? I'm still telling a story. Where was I? I'm glad there's a delete and edit and buttons up on that thing, because I'm going to take advantage of them, I'm pretty sure. So we've got these websites, and I've got the Timber Buyers Network, and I got this idea, well, these loggers, if people are looking for them on the web and they don't find a logger in their area, what do? Maybe I should have a way for these loggers to talk back and forth with each other or communicate if they want to share information, or for parts, or for work outside of their area. That was my grand vision of the thing. So I created a forum where these people could communicate. I see my battery's going dead, so we may have to make a pause on this and come back later. There's a little battery flashing up on that screen up there. Let me see how much more I can get before it goes dead. Maybe I can get the story in. I doubt it. Anyways, we create the website. We have members that can communicate with each other on a forum, and I'm excited because this forum, one day I came home from work and I sat down and I could see there had been 12 people on that forum, and one of them made a post. I was so excited. My kids still tease me about that when I talk about it, but if there was only 12 people on the forum right now when I come in, I'd think something's wrong. Probably 400 or 500 on the forum right as we speak, counting guests and stuff. But so 21 years after that launch, we're still going. We're going to make a YouTube channel. We're going to do different things. We're going to try to continue to educate. We're going to try to help people in the forest products industry. A lot of it's going to be personal on my side, because my life is the Forestry Forum. Has been for quite a few years now. I'm going to be 60 this July. Things have changed a lot for me over the last year. Feeling good, feeling 30 years younger than what I probably look. I could shave this gray beard off. I could show you the black hair in the back to prove that there's a little bit youth left. I think we'll save this for another video, because I've talked long enough. You know about the Forestry Forum, you know we're going to fix this tractor up, and you know my battery's about ready to go dead. So we'll see you on the next video. Welcome to the Forestry Forum channel. And if you get a chance, subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be more coming up, and I think it's going to be a good thing for the Forestry Forum. See you later.